This is the 1,000-round review of the WK181. I finally have gotten 1,000 rounds through it. I would have gotten 1,000 rounds through this thing last week and had this video up last week, but I encountered a problem, which I will mention later on in the video. Now, I think I'm going to break this up into pros, cons, and then some general information. Now, general information stuff. This is a 7.62 by 39 rifle that uses AK pattern magazines, rock and lock, just like any other AK. It is a AR-180 design, meaning this buffer tube is useless actually, and it is a piston-operated firearm. If you want a complete teardown of this rifle and how it works, I have a couple of videos from early on, the overview video and then the cleaning video. You can see exactly how this thing ticks. But compatibility-wise, you can take AR grips, you can use AR stocks and buffer tubes and whatever, and AR handguards. Now, you can also technically use AR-15 trigger groups, but I'll get to the problem with these in a second. And this is what delayed me. So, with that out of the way, I am going to just put this segment, the accuracy portion, here, because I don't really know where else to fit this. So it'll just go here. Couple of videos. So there are two things to know about this. There is older footage that is being used in this video to try and show off the rifle in a couple configurations that I had it. This one specifically, I had the faux suppressor, which was basically just a linear compensator that looked like a suppressor. That's all it was. And this was from very early on when I was using the rifle, hence my fuck up with loading the magazine in, because I was still getting used to the manual of arms of this rifle. I've since gotten used to it. I don't think I've done that fuck up recently. And so this accuracy here is from 25 yards, freehand, exactly like you're seeing here. And so yes, there is user error in this, but I think you can reasonably expect to get this level of accuracy within 25 yards at freehand. The other on the bench is me shooting at 50 yards. Now, I have a 25 yard zero, and it does not translate well to 50 yards, and the zero really doesn't translate well to 100 yards. It makes shooting at 100 yards with the optic and the magnifier that I have fairly difficult. A 50 yard zero, if you were using this thing consistently at 125, a 50 yard zero would be perfect. But really tight groups at 50 yards, I think, and that's with Chinese surplus ammo. I did try a 100 yard group, but like I said, it's not going to be indicative of this rifle or anything about it, because it just doesn't mean anything when the zero on this is so different. And I'm not going to re-zero it for one test because I don't shoot at 100 yards. That's not the type of shooting I enjoy. Now, I'm going to get the cons out of the way because there's more pros than cons. So first of all, the Trigger Tech triggers. Now, this will take AR-15 pattern triggers. And in fact, it's fairly easy to do. It took me about 5 minutes to swap out this for this. Very easy. The problem is that these triggers will not work with corrosive 7.62. The primers on the military surplus, 7.62, are too hard, and this doesn't have enough weight behind it to set it off. You need to hit the firing pin with the hammer 3 times before a round goes off. This will not work, which is disappointing, but it's not unexpected. It was well known that these triggers don't work in the earlier WSMCR, and I've seen people say that they won't work in others. So it is what it is. It's not ideal. I would think if you were using modern manufactured 7.62, like if you're using match 7.62, I think this would work just because the primer wouldn't be as hard. But if you're trying to use this in a competition and you want to use surplus, maybe that's something that you knock against the rifle. But I'll get to the trigger in the positive section because I do think that is, in general, a positive. The only time the trigger is a negative is 100 yards or more. I think, like any mil-spec trigger, you can hit a C-zone target, but if you're trying to be accurate, you're going to need one of these. Now, the other negative has to do with the springs in here. And it's that you need to adapt your manual of arms. You might think that when you're using a gun with a side charging handle, you're going to want to just constantly rack it. Put in a new mag, rack it, let it go. The problem is that doesn't always work. And my theory is that the springs in here are the same springs from the 180, and they're just slightly not strong enough with specific ammo, or almost all ammo. So with Chinese 7.62, it will sometimes load it into the chamber. It sometimes won't. With Czech surplus 7.62, which is just straight steel case, did not work at all. The friction on the rounds was too high and it would not push it forward. But here's the thing. If you pull back, and you'll see in my shooting videos, if you pull back and you drop the bolt, I never had a single failure to feed. Which tells me that the reason this happens is that when you pull it back, your finger can sometimes get in the way of it. On Chinese 7.62, your finger will sometimes get in the way of it and it won't be able to pick up enough momentum. Czech surplus, just in general, Czech surplus did not work. And aside from those two things, those are the only negatives I have. So I guess on to the positives. This thing ran, with the exception of the Czech ammo and adapting your manual of arms, so long as you adapt your manual of arms, ran flawlessly. I didn't have a single failure to extract. I didn't have a single using this manual of arms. I didn't have a single failure to feed. I didn't have a single breakage of anything on this rifle, not even close. The gas system was excellent. Excellent. Not like, it baffles me how good this is and how many problems are on the 180 ones, and they refuse to put this on there. It genuinely is very good. Now, the trigger, it is just a mil-spec trigger. But I'm able to, as you can see in the videos, I'm able to get rapid shots off. No problem. Like, it doesn't feel mushy. It's heavy, but it's not mushy. And I don't know why this mil-spec trigger feels like so decent within 25 yards, but it just does. And the only reason I even tried to put in the trigger tech was just to test it. Like, I wasn't actually going to use this permanently in the rifle. Because there's no, I don't think, if you're shooting 50, 25, or whatever, or if you're shooting at 100 but you're not precision shooting, like you're just trying to hit C-zone targets, there's no reason to change the trigger. There really isn't. The cleaning of this rifle, super, super easy. The takedown is very simple. Just 2 pins, pop out, push in, separate, pull out your bolt carrier group and your springs, and then pour very hot water down the barrel. Or you can use oil, as I've seen some people use online, if you're doing it, if you're shooting within a few days. Not very hot oil. Don't do that. Just cleaning oil. And, you know, I have no spots of corrosiveness or anything on this. Gas system is easy to take out. It really is very good. And I just remembered I have one other negative, so I'll put this here. The stock handguard. It's not bad. The stock handguard works well. The problem with the stock handguard is that it has 8 screws. 1, 2, 3, 4, and then 1, 2, 3, 4 on the other side. And for cleaning the gas system, it is a pain in the ass to use 8 screws to take it off. So I have a TNA cornice, which is just these 2 screws plus a loosening screw on this side here. But otherwise, that is it. Now, let me put this thing back together. It's a bit awkward on camera, I'm not going to lie. Alright. In, functioning rifle again. Now, I do want to briefly mention the muzzle device. Now, I used 3 muzzle devices during the testing. I used the stock one, which is just a flash hider. I used the True North Arms linear compensator faux suppressor, and then I used this True North Arms muzzle brake. I think it's like the Alien Pyramid or whatever muzzle brake. Now, if you notice throughout the video, when I've shot with the snow footage was with the flash hider, the testing footage was with the accuracy, freehand accuracy testing is with the faux suppressor, and almost all the other footage was with this. And the standard flash suppressor, totally fine. It works, it does its job. The linear compensator is nice. I think is preferable if you're bench shooting, because you don't really need to care too much about recoil, but you might care if you piss off the people to your left and right, especially if you're in an undercover area, because, you know, with muzzle brakes and undercover, it'll vibrate, the sound waves will move through it more easily, right? And it's more annoying. If you're on an open range, I would go with the muzzle brake, because the recoil reduction was significant. And yes, I have this on like this intentionally. I'm trying to keep the recoil
I think it's just me. I don't think it's the gun. But my recoil would always go up and to the right, so this is supposed to push it down and left. But highly recommend a muzzle brake on this rifle. Another pro is how light it is. I am gonna have to weigh this separately. I don't know it off the top of my head, but the weight is here, and really it is extraordinarily well balanced. With the flash suppressor and the muzzle brake, the linear compensator faux suppressor just it puts a lot of weight on the end of the barrel, and it doesn't make it as enjoyable to shoot freehand, but it makes it enjoyable to shoot on the bench, which is part of the reason I think it's better for the bench. But overall, the balance on this is very, very, very nice. Now, one thing I want to bring up in the Pro is the warranty information. And the reason I bring this up is because there will be people who are worried about how good their rifle is. Right? It's a Kodiak rifle. They see Kodiak rifles and they're really worried. Will it break? Well, good news is that Kodiak's warranty seems to be pretty sound. Now, I'm going to read out this parts of this statement. I'm not going to read out the entire thing. And it comes from Reddit, and it was about a guy on his WK180, but it shows their warranty policy. So he says, what we generally do is take the view that if you change something and another thing on that rifle breaks, then your changing the first part was irrelevant and we fix it. If you change something that later breaks, that's on you. So basically, if you change, like what this guy was doing, was switching out the receiver set for a different receiver from True North Arms, and something broke. Well, you change a major part of the rifle and it's likely something will break. But if you're using the rifle stock, like if you change the pistol grip and the gas system breaks, they're still going to fix it for you. They'll either send you out the parts or I guess you could send it in or something. So you can change things on your rifle, and if something breaks that is unrelated to what you changed, they will fix it for you. That is, in my opinion, very sound and excellent policy decision. And you want to change out like I had thought about changing out the lower receiver to one that takes Stanag mags, but TLDR, I don't think that's possible because the bolt carrier group, this little extension here, will work with AK mags, but won't work with Stanag mags, I believe. So just keep that in mind if you're thinking if you want to switch them over. I don't think it's possible, but it makes sense. So warranty wise, I think you're in good hands. And one other thing I want to mention that is not directly related to my experience, on Reddit, one user, or I think it might be a group of users under one Reddit account, put 5,000 rounds through one of these things. And while I would check Reddit to see their full opinions on it, it didn't break. The gas system didn't break. They even went like 3,000 or 3,500 rounds without even cleaning the bolt carrier group. So the only thing they did was make sure the barrel didn't have corrosive stuff in it. That's it. And I think that's a testament, and I've seen a few others that have ran 1,000 rounds with no problems, and I think that's a testament to the gas system and to this rifle. I think Kodiak has nailed this rifle. I may even say this is the best 180 variant in Canada. And I say that because the WK180 Gen 1 or Gen 2 has gas system problems. And if they put this gas system on that, well, then maybe that one's the best. But they haven't. The BCL 102, or not 102, BCL SRV2, looks like a great rifle. But we have already seen a recall on every single rifle because something was wrong with, I believe, the firing pin or the cam pin, and it caused the bolt carrier group to explode. So, like, maybe in the future, after they fix that one would be the best. But right now, the best gun that you can buy, I think, a semi-auto 180 variant, is this gun. And I know there's been a lot of questions of should you buy this or should you buy the Type 81. And I think it's kind of apples to oranges. It's very similar to the AR versus AK debate. It's the AR versus AK debate at home in Canada, right? I think the reliability on this thing, well, it doesn't have the years of experience the Type 81 has had in Canada, and it hasn't gone through a military trial. I think being Canadian made, having a very good warranty period, puts the reliability and reliability experience on par with the Type 81. And from that point on, Type 81 versus WK181, what you're really asking is modern or less modern. You can modernize a Type 81. There are a couple Canadian companies that are manufacturing new handguards and stock receivers, but it's still a Type 81 at heart, right? So it still has the thicker handguard. It still has, I think, a worse trigger than a mil-spec trigger. Personally, I've held and used and fired both. I owned a Type 81 back a guess a year and a half ago or so. And you're not going to go wrong buying either, but I think most people should buy a 181. I think the upgradability that you can have on it, the ergonomic benefit that you can have on it, you can easily put any AR handguard you want on it, any grip you want on it, any grip you want on out of the box. You don't need to buy anything else. You can put a muzzle device on it right out of the box, which isn't true of all Type 81 variants. You can put whatever stock you like right out of the box, which isn't true with the Type 81. You can change the pistol grip to anything you want right out of the box, which isn't necessarily true with the Type 81. Sometimes you have to do a bit of fitting. Not to mention optics compatibility. Right out of the box, you can put whatever optic you want on it. That is a major benefit of the Type 81, and I think for modern shooters, this is what you would want to go with. And I know a lot of people will ask, if the AR-15 wasn't banned, why would you use anything like this? And I think this rifle, the 181, not the 180, has merit to stand on its own if the AR-15 were to be unbanned. Because yes, you can get the Palmetto Armory KS-47. You can get that lower that uses AK mags. But I think the reliability on this has proven it's fine. And it's a Canadian-made rifle, and you can get Canadian warranty. And the one thing I will say, I really wish Kodiak would change this one thing. Make a Zukov or ACR stock version of this rifle. It would be perfect. It would be so perfect. That would be the only thing I would change on this rifle. Just do that, and dare I say, best 7.62 rifle in Canada. 7.62 by 39. Now I know price is higher than obviously an SKS. You could get, well, with the increase in SKS prices, you could get anywhere between 2 and 3 SKSs for the price of one of these. It's cheaper than the SRV2, and it's much cheaper than the Bren 2, and it is more expensive than a Type 81. But if you outfit the Type 81 to have the modernized features that this has, it's about the same price. So I think, and you can pick these up on sale fairly frequently. Well, I'd say fairly frequently. Places like SFRC, which raise prices during sales marginally, but they do that. I've seen when they had the sale and had their 14% off sale, you could buy one of these things for $1,280 or something. And I think for that price, blows every other 7.62 rifle out of the water. Not even close. I think at MSRP, it's, if you have the money to do it, I think it's a good rifle. And I think that's basically what it comes down to. I think this is a very good rifle that a lot of people are going to really like. And if you want something else, it's based on personal preference. I don't think it's based on how bad the rifle is. Like, you wouldn't buy another rifle because this one is bad. You would buy another rifle because of personal preference. I think that's the best thing any rifle can say for itself. So, that is it for this video. I will have as an update to some of my YouTube reviews. I sold the K9. You can look at the explanation for it in the 200 round first shots of the K9. And I bought a new rifle instead, the Lockhart Raven 9. Hopefully it's shipped out and I can get an overview and teardown of it next week. And I think I finally figured out what was wrong with my Glock 24. Parts coming in next week to verify. Once I verify that that is the problem, Glock review out in maybe 2 weeks. We'll see. School's it's crunch time for school now. But that is it for this video. Thank you for watching. Subscribe for the upcoming content, and have a good day.